And I would say, let's start with the lecture. Yeah, like I said, today I will speak about product and project management, and Philipp Pagels from Frankfurt will help me with his industry insights. Today, our lecture will be about the product life cycle of products of everyday use. Before we start, I will share a small video for you.
Consider your TV at home and compare it to the video store, the cinema, and Netflix. Before houses had TVs, there was nothing to do, so people went to the movies. TV was exciting, and then came the VCR to make it even better, the ability to record and watch videos. Then Netflix came along and partially ruined the party for video stores, but not for watching shows. People still love watching shows. This provides a great example of how product life cycles work. When video rentals were first introduced, not many people had a VCR or Betamax player. People went around to a friend's house to watch a movie together. It was a social event. More and more people enjoyed it, and that experience led to a rapid growth in the market. But once everyone had a video player, and the average person was already watching 1 or 2 movies a week, it became very difficult for any new growth to occur. You can't rent out more videos than there are people or time to watch them. Just like a person who initially grows rapidly, but then stops once they've reached maturity, a product will also go through an introduction and growth phase and then mature. Renting movies from the video store was incredibly popular and a traditional way to spend a Friday or Saturday night. But just like a person, it entered a decline phase. Although people still want to watch movies, the delivery mechanism, the internet, changed and transformed the market. So now we have Netflix and Stan, who initially started in the introduction phase and have now achieved significant growth. Classifying a product into the right stage of the life cycle is the first step. This involves looking at the revenues across different time periods to track how the product is performing. The next part of the analysis is to understand the impact on the business. At different stages, we have different issues to contend with. In the introductory phase, a large amount of cash is required for product development and marketing, but sales are going to be low, so there's going to be a cash deficit. How are you going to fund this? And what will you do if the product is not successful? This issue nearly sent Netflix bust when it first started, and it nearly ran out of cash, while it was still trying to win enough customers to cover its costs. Remember, there's no guarantee that introduction will lead to growth. Coke with stevia is a good example of this. During the growth phase, there are enough customers to share between competitors, so there's a chance to be cash flow positive. But you also need to keep investing in the product by hiring more staff, spending more on infrastructure and equipment, and also keeping market share through advertising and marketing. While the maturity phase has less growth occurring, it's still a very positive place to be because less cash is required to be spent on maintaining the product. This can often lead to a cash cow situation if you have high market share. But if you don't realise that maturity has arrived, you can create significant problems. Crops were extremely popular, and the organisation built more factories and produced more inventory to cater for this future growth. But the growth slowed, and they lost millions because they were in maturity or even decline before they knew it. You also need to be careful of the decline stage. When things start to go back with sales and revenues dropping, you need to quickly evaluate if it's the end of the line for the product. Hanging on too long can lead to significant losses. But with emotional attachment and years of organisational activity linked to making and selling a product, it can be very hard to stop production. One final thing to note, a product can experience rebirth or renewal. If you think of vinyl records make their comeback, you'll see that there can be opportunities to recreate products for a new market.
Yeah. Like I said, today we want to speak about the product life cycle as part of the product and project management. As you already saw in the presentation, in the video, in general, we have 4 phases: the introduction phase of a new product, the growth phase, the maturity phase, and the decline phase. I will go into my short overview about the product life cycle in more detail, and later on, Philipp will explain on the example in his company where he's working, the importance of the product life cycle. Yeah, let's go on. The product life cycle is a model for the lifespan of a product in general. Some products have a higher sales curve and in general has a longer life, and other products have a quite low sales curve and a shorter life. So the product life cycle starts with an invention in the research. So that we start always with a new invention, which later on will lead to an innovation. What does it mean? I showed you 3 examples from the past about the first phase of the product life cycle. The fluorescent lamp was invented in 1859, but it took almost 80 years to build out a product which is sold or was sold to the market. The television was invented in 1919 and was the first TV people could buy went only on sale in 1941, 22 years later on. Also, the first stereography, the technology was invented in 1937, and the first copy who used stereography was on the market in 1950. Another example is the invention of the Gillette razor. The idea was born in 1895, and it took the Gillette company almost 9 years to bring the product to the market. Another example for a very short invention to innovation period is the invention of the refrigerator. It was invented in 1930 and brought to the market in only 1931. Does somebody has a question to this so far? Let's pick up Oksana. Oksana, do you hear me? It doesn't work so well like I thought. Okay, Oksana writes to me, yes, she hears me. Oksana, please switch on your video and your microphone. And could you tell me what is the difference between invention and innovation? Oksana? Okay. She's writing it's not possible in the moment. Who would like to answer to my question? Come on, guys. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, hello. Who is speaking?
Igor.
Hi, Igor.
Sorry, but I'm just laying on my bed. It's okay. Can you?
Everything is okay.
So the invention is mean that where the product had been invented in general, and the innovation mean that when this product was can be exactly in the market. It means that we can buy it, and it can be bought everywhere.
Yeah.
Is as I
exactly
got it. Yes. I'm a little bit shy and I want to switch off my camera. It's okay. If it is, but if you have some more questions to me, I can answer. Okay.
Yeah. So don't be shy. Everything is cool. Good. Thank you, Igor, for your support. Everybody can again see my screen. Philipp, can you confirm? Can you confirm?
When I lift my thumbs, do you see them or not?
Yes. Now
okay.
I see it. Unfortunately, I'm also at home and I have only 2 monitors.
I have just one, so I can see your monitor. You can continue. Go for it.
Good. Thank you. Good. Let's continue. Like I already said, some products have a shorter segment in their curve or a shorter curve overall. I picked up here example with Pokemon. I think everybody of you knows Pokemon. Nobody knew the figure of Pokemon in 1998. It was invented very fast, and every year Pokemon has a new card set you can use, and so the product life cycle of Pokemon is reduced for only 1 year, from new invention up to the decline stage when the old cards are outdated. Why is the product life cycle so important? I don't want to say so much to it, but because Philipp will tell later on about it more. But the product life cycle is a model which allows the management to make decisions when they should introduce a new product and when they should not invest more in an established product. So it's a good tool to control your cash flow when you having several products, and it shows you it gives you a good measurement tool to make decisions how much marketing budget you should use for one product, how much engineering or refinement you should invest into a product, and so on. Because every company all over the world has only a limited budget, and they have to well use this budget to improve their products and the marketing for the products. Let's go into detail into the several stages. As I already said, we're having in the product life cycle 4 stages. the introduction stage, the growth stage, the maturity stage, and the decline stage. The introduction stage is when a completely new product is introduced to the market. It means the product is not known, the price for the product is in general high, and the audience for the product, the clients, are selective. It means it's a very small group, and the promotion is in general very personal and also very selective. One new example of the introduction stage was the new iPhone, was the iPhone 12 years ago or 13 years ago when Steve Jobs introduced it to the market. It was completely new and nobody knew the capabilities of the new iPhone. So the price was very high compared to the established mobile phones. Only a small number of people bought it and know what you could do with that. And the promotion was also limited to a very small techie group who really wanted to have this cool new device. Also, I will use here the iPhone example. After a certain time, the iPhone was recognized that it's very cool, very inventive, and you can do a lot of things with that. When the first competitors from Samsung came on the market, the price for smartphones also dropped a bit, and having a smartphone was more in common, but still only for a minority of people affordable. And there's when, in the growth stage, when the first competitors arriving. In the maturity stage, we have real competition between products, products of the same class. The price is decreasing. The varieties for the potential buyers are high, and you need to make real promotion to get a market share. Yeah, in the decline stage, everything is well established. Somebody wants also to join, I see. Just give me a minute. Yeah, in the decline stage, there is less competition. Why? Because in the decline stage, the profits for the companies are already low. So some market contenders are already leaving because it's not interesting anymore. And in the end, promotion is focusing on reminding. Also here we can take example from the mobile phone industry. Today there are still existing some not smartphones. They're still existing, but on as a variety declined. And it's mainly promoted as outdoor phones or phones for adult, for pensioners who just want to have mobile access, mobile telephone access. In general, for a product life cycle, in the below you can see how we call all the clients of the products. The first users are called innovators. the second and most interesting clients are the early adopters, because they're really eager to pay a high price to have the newest product, and the Priebe, how you say in Russian, the profits for the companies are the highest here to earn. Then the early majority, also when you have still a higher profit, but the first competitors are joining the market, then the late majority who are interested, but you had to convince them that it's good to have such kind of product. Maybe you can remember your parents when you wanted maybe to have a mobile phone, a smartphone much more earlier than your parents wanted. And last but not least, the laggards. These guys are very conservative, and you have to convince them very long that the product is very good for them, and they're very conservative people. Yeah. I don't want to go so much into deep in more theory. I would say I almost said everything for the theory part, and I would hand over my word to Philipp to speak about the product life cycle in the real world.
Okay, then thanks for hand over that. First of all, I would like to ask you all, don't worry, there's no need to switch on your camera or your microphone, just use the chat and type in if you have heard about Continental before. So it's a yes/no question. And the second one, what do you think, which is a product you think Continental is famous for? Just type it in now. I will read out some examples. So Nika, don't know Continental? That's pretty okay. No. Anastasia and Julia also don't know. Julia?
You can read Russian Cyrillic, but let me know.
Okay. So I need to do some brand building here. That's fine. So the next minutes, I would like to show you as an example from the company Continental, the PLC. And the second thing, what is more important maybe for you, for your future as a software engineer, right? To find out in which part of the product lifecycle you can find yourself, what might be interesting for you to work later on for such kind of company like Continental is. So as I learned, Continental is a pretty new company for you. We are established in the automotive sector mainly. And if I ask somebody here in Germany about Continental, they mention first it's about an insurance, but that's completely wrong. And the second one is that Continental is famous for tires. And for tires, yes, there we do our main brand building for tires for the World Championship, for example. And then I tell them, Continental is not only doing tires, Continental is also doing brake calipers. I will show it here in the camera. They're quite surprised. And Continental is also doing a lot of other components in the car. So, but it's everything under the hood, so it's nothing visible. So like this brake caliper, you find this one on the rear axis of the car. And you're asking, okay, here's no electrical connection. How is that had to do something with you as an IT, as a software engineer? And the interesting part is under the hood for the electronic devices, what, for example, the control for an ESB system, it's a braking add-on that avoids blocked tires during a hard brake. So maybe you experience that already in your car. Hopefully you have an ABS system or ESP. So on this part could be interesting for you as an IT software engineer, as an example. The stability control is a quite interesting field, and in the future it's might more interesting the driverless cars. And you might asking, okay, who is this guy in front of this camera? My name is Philipp. If you're looking forward to connect me, you're really welcome. Look for Philipp Pagels. Philipp, is my name here somewhere visible, or do I need to explain that? Okay, just to be sure, Philipp with PH, 1L, 2P at the end, and Pagels, P-A-G-E-L-S. I'm working at Continental in industrial engineering, and I'm responsible for assembling this stuff here. I'm also placing that in the camera. And you might be wondering, okay, what is that here? And I show you again this brake caliper. And this one is not a new invention or something like that. That is a real, quite well established product. And the life cycle of the product itself is, you can see it independently from the car itself. I will show you later on some examples how a development process looks like to bring an idea to this here, to adapt that product to a car as an example. And this well-established product to the market has one disadvantage. There's a high competitive market, and the margins here on this product, it's pretty low. So in year 2012, so it's 8 years already, somebody got an idea, okay, and maybe you have it still in your car. It's a hand lever. It's a braking parking brake. And the parking brakes, you have the hand lever. That is the standard system. It's got replaced now in the cars by just a button. You pull on that, and then the parking function is activated. And for that, you need this here. So this well-established product got invented new by this additional functionality. And you add on this here, that's nothing more than electric motor, some gears inside, what is translating the power to the braking caliper. There's a mechanical braking function, and you activate the braking power, right? So that is just a small explanation. My responsibility in industrial engineering is to assemble this one. Just give me a hint for your own situation. You decided to go the stony way to become an engineer, software engineer probably. Just type in your chat what kind of engineer you will become in the next months or years, just to get an idea how I can support you to what could be might interesting for you on the product lifecycle, how this product gets developed. Just use the chat now to type in which kind of engineer you will become, which kind of software engineer.
Don't be shy.
Maybe it's complicated, so they need a bit more time. I expected you were faster, to be honest. You're welcome to share just your idea. I think that's not a big deal or a big secret, what kind of engineer you will become, or what you might think to, yes, if first are leaving, that's a good sign.
I think it's more some technical problems.
Absolutely, technical problems.
No, they're coming back, Philipp. Relax.
They're coming back, okay. Great to have you again here. So if you're not an MDA, thank you so much for your feedback. Software engineer, IT business analysis, data science engineer. Okay, that's a good one. On the first look, I have completely no idea for the product life cycle and the invention phases where you can step in, but maybe you can find it out by, I shared my one application. Probably you can see it, right? And I will just give you an overview. And the product life cycle at Continental builds or represents the beginning from the idea to end of market, so end of production. I just jumped through that. So you see here on the left, the innovation and roadmap, that is this phases, the idea creation. And when we jump through this life cycle, just to have an overview on your side, then you see here a lot of steps. And the end of one product cycle is here, the gate 110. So the gate is a release phases when the product gets, this gate represents a maturity phases. Means with each, you can see it like here's the idea like a baby, and this is here like an age. So you have gate 10, and your baby got a year older. So the product, this idea, this concept got a bit more maturity. So and that's moving up. And here in gate 80, you start to work by your own in the industry. You are mature. So the production is running, something to just to get an understanding. And end of serious production is gate 100. Means you are retired. And after series, that is your retirement, and gate 110, it's RIP. Okay, let's start from the beginning, what it means from gate to gate. The gate 10 means that the management approved, okay, this idea looks pretty good and makes sense to deliver that to our customers. Let's go forward and introduce our customers to this idea, to this product concept. So that is a really early age of the idea of this product. And here's a lot of money invested to new ideas, to new inventions, to introduce that to the market. And the quotation phases, there's a lot of, there are already sales, marketing, different departments involved in these phases, controlling as well, research and development, R&D, industrial engineering as well. So it's my part to ensure that what we offer to our customers is later on feasible to produce that. And this quotation phases the duration of that can be a half year, so 6 months to up to 2 years. And so that is like a battle phase to the competition. That's quite interesting to see that, how our customers are acting to outperform the market price, right? To drop the market price from the next product generation to the next one. And sometimes me as an engineer, I'm wondering, okay, in which direction this can go forward and what is the lowest price the market is able to deliver. So in the concept refinement, you're working on the concept itself. You are in deep touch with the customer to ensure that this product gets adjusted to the needs of the customer. Gate 50, gate 55, there's no big difference. So the design itself gets more and more mature. And finally, design freeze means you have a design status, and this gets blocked, freezed, so that the purchasing department, industrial engineering, can start to procure everything what is required for prepare the production phases. In gate 55, the interesting point here is that the biggest part of an industrialization project from the money got released from the management. So that is really critical phases. And in the reality, it doesn't mean this design freeze that it's really freeze. So if something happened over the period, then for sure you need to do something. And that is a quite interesting part. Here's a small block visualized is the industrialization phases. That's quite interesting from my perspective. So I start to take a white paper and sketch how this production concept could look like, go to the market to request the design process of this manufacturing equipment. And there's also a lot of programming stuff inside. And this realization phases, yeah, to get this idea to see it growing on a white paper until it's located in a production plant and producing something like this. That's quite interesting. And so the product what I showed you before in the camera, the product validation phases. So everything is established in the production plant, ready for production, and now our customers are asking for us to ensure the quality of our products. In the automobile industry, it's as well in air freight industry. It's always the same. You have to ensure the quality.
Philip, there's one request from the audience.
Yes.
Maybe to give an example, a very touchable example when you use what?
Okay.
Which phase?
I try to. Hello again. Just switch on your camera and get in touch to understand your question better. What kind of example do you need?
Yeah, Marina, you thought you need an example. Can you specify? Maybe Philip should introduce it on on a product, maybe on a mobile or on a tire, maybe.
If I take this one, is that okay?
I would suggest a more simple one because I even think 50% of the audience didn't understand what it is.
What is this?
Yeah, this is super.
Okay. Headphones. You are asked to. You have an idea to produce some headphones, Bluetooth one. That's a new function you try to implement to the market. So coming back to the gate 10, you have this innovation and roadmap, and you find out, okay, the headphones is not so new, right? I have here this one in my ear, so, and also a kind of a headphones, but you're looking forward to have some more for business usage, and you have an idea to produce something like this here. I don't like it so much, but it's okay for the moment. And you have the idea, okay, let's implement something special and have the special functionality to have it really stable working with Team and the Zoom application and have a connection via Bluetooth. So this is a part of the innovation and roadmap. You map that out and you decide together with the management, yes, it makes sense for the market to realize their good profits by selling that to the customer. And now the question is from how to realize that from a piece of paper, this idea to this real product. This so far understood, Marina? Marina, you're warmly welcome to switch on your camera to get in touch, and we go through that by an example here on this headphone.
She's writing that it's okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Good.
So I continue on this point. So this idea, you decided as a management, let's go to the market and start the quotation phases. You are looking for your first customer, the early adopter. You're looking for to find your first customer and have the approved by the market. Yes, it makes sense to sell it. Okay. Normally, all the customers are asking or looking for 3 different suppliers. That is the standard in the industry, what I know, and that is the minimum what you are asking for. So you have a competition to other suppliers who have a similar approach, maybe another approach from this microphone, or instead of Bluetooth using some other technology, maybe a completely new and different whatever. So that is the kind of competition you need to proceed. You're pushing the prices. And in gate 30, as an example, you receive the order from the customer. Then you have a short celebration inside of your company, and you go forward. Okay, now we have this contract with our customers. It's time to move our idea, our concept, to the production phases. This is your target to produce, to sell it to the customers. So you need to refine the concept and the design, that you have some functionalities like this here to adjust that to your size of your head. And you need to design and define the distance of this product. You have some prototypes you're producing. And so you're developing your product from this baby phase, this idea phase, to the maturity. And with each development step, your product gets more defined. Okay. And in this moment, you are really satisfied with this product. You have here, it's quite important to work together with your customer, that you meet their requirements and their specifications. Okay. And if all are the thumbs up, how do you have with customers before production? How do you have agreement with customers before production and of product? Do you mean, Marina, this quotation phases? If I understood your question right, you're wondering about the different business relationships. And that is a really good question here on this point. Normally, you as a private person, you are going to a supermarket and looking for some new batteries. You're looking for the new headphones, right? And you go just to the market looking for the right model and buy it. Marina, is that what you mean? The difference to that is when you are in a business to business. How do you know that it's what customers need? That is also a second good question. I try to answer the first one first. I described now this business to customer model means the equipment producer, like Apple, who is producing some phones. This is focused to the end market, I would say, to the consumer market. And the difference here is you have a lot of other components inside. As an example, when you take the car itself, the car got sold to the customer as the end product. But you have inside of the car is a part of the supply chain. The supply chain is a complete different topic, but a part of this supply chain is something like this here, this brake caliper, just to have this connection to what I explained before. And this brake caliper you can normally not purchase by your own as a private person. It's an element of this complete car, and that it makes it really complex to build a car. It's a system out of thousands of parts, and to align everything, there are plenty engineers required for that. And for me, it's always fun to think about how many families and children get become the fruit and get fed by just this simple part. It's just a small box. This price is around $10 to $20, and it's quite interesting how many people are involved with that project, how many companies are involved even to this small product. And that's the same for this iPhone or the headphones here. That this for as in the moment, the difference from business to business and business to customer, this is the difference. So this agreement with the customer you have inside of this business to business supply chain. And so this manufacturer of this headphone is asking for who can deliver us this kind of microphone, for example. Yeah. Answering your second question, how do you identify the market needs, the customer needs? And for that is the easiest one to take this invention from Apple. If you are in a business to customer market, if you're developing an app, for example, and try to reach your potential customers. Think on who is my potential customer, who could find that useful, and call them. Speak to them and find out what they are interested in, what they want to have, what they're looking forward, what are the problems with that. And if you have a solution for that, then it's a good idea to go forward for that. Okay. Back to the headphones. The design got freezed based on the agreement from your customer, business to business, okay? That it makes sense that you start the production, you prepare the production. So you think about, okay, which single parts and elements I have used for this headphone, which parts I need to industrialize for the industrialization. And here are a lot of plastic parts, and then it's most of all the question, shall we do the production of the parts by our own, or should we produce it somewhere else in China or Africa or whatever? You can be creative on that point. So on this phases is the question for the industrialization, what makes sense to build up the production for this product. And after you have, I really make it rough. After you have established the production chain, the production, and you have the first products out of your production, then you have product validation. The product validation means you start to test your product. If it meets the specification, if you meet the quality. And the quality, our CEO from Continental is always mentioning, quality first. And that is what Germany stands for. And that is one thing I can also recommend to you, to think about the quality. What is on the one side sufficient and really needed for the next step? And finally, on the customer side, that nobody get injured by what you are developing as an engineer. Doesn't matter if you're a mechanical engineer or software engineer. And in this interesting phases then comes up, you have released your production chain. And you start now this ramp up to meet the market needs. Here is the sales and marketing department asked to explore the markets and spread and get the products on the market and establish their the sales structure. And as Stephan mentioned already, you need the early adopter who start to use that, find it incredibly interesting, incredibly helpful, that as an example, they start to share how great your product is. And from these early adopters, you transform them to some raving fans, I would say. And so you have a big followership for these smartphones from Apple as an example. And then this growth phase starts, right? And over that, you ramp up your production of your product over the serious production until this is a quite old iPhone, it's a 6S, and it's not longer produced because nobody is asking for that any longer. So that is then the death of your product phases. Maria, thank you for your question. Question is, how is possible to balance between good quality and not too high price? It's quite a good one, and that's really a big challenge of all the companies to ensure the quality and realize at the same stage a good price, an affordable price. As an example, if you have a really strong followership, raving fans who are celebrating your products like Apple has, then you are nearly independent from the price point, nearly. Means if you have a really bad quality, like the very first iPhone had, then you would not able to proceed over the next market period with your second iPhone. Everyone would expect that scrap, so it makes no sense to proceed on this point. But what they did, they threw it on the market and developed already the better version of that. And so the early adopter explored with the first iPhone. They learned by this usage of the people, developed that in the next product and moved on by the quality, right? And even the 6S or the iPhone 6, they had a big connection problem by some implemented mechanical antenna. And what they did, they introduced the iPhone 6S. So problem was solved. So you can, if you find later on some quality issues, then you need to solve that. To find this balance that is, I would say, based mainly on experience. Maria, was that answering somehow your question? I have one additional part prepared, and I would like to introduce you what is really important in the product lifecycle and this development phases. What makes a difference to make a product even better? And what you need to understand as an engineer, as a software engineer, is the gates are like hurdles. And to overcome those hurdles, you need to meet some requirements, as I tried to describe you. And from quality side, product related. And what you need to understand as an engineer, there's always a solution. Means if you meet a hurdle, a big challenge, then you need to be positive, to be confident to find a solution on that. And that's not always a question that you need to find the solution by your own. It's a question to develop that in a team. And that is a big one, to understand that there's no need to do everything by your own, but you need to understand which parts you have inside of the team, what you can influence, and what you are good at. Okay? The most important phases inside of this product development phases is the earlier the product is in this concept phases, you make the difference as an engineer. We call it at Continental front loading. So we invest a lot of energy in this concept to get out all the potentials out of that concept, not to be tolerant by some stupid ideas or something what might not work, or we are not sure about that. So we continue on working on that and solve it in a really early age. If you think it's okay, let's run through the process, we need to stay by the timing, and you tolerate some quality issues, as Maria mentioned, then you will meet and face these problems later on during the CS production. And the costs related to in this stage, you won't have that. So it's called in the automobile industry, if you found that you have some quality issues here with this braking caliper, this housing, and here are some porosities inside, so it's not tight and the braking fluid is moving out, and you're not sure about this quality, and you have a so-called callback, then you are forced by, and you are faced by costs of millions over millions dollars. So that is important to understand, that you need to ensure in the concept phases that is the best we can do right now on the information we have. If you're facing some problems later on, don't be shy and solve that as best you can. The next one I would like to share with you is the phases or this understanding of communication. And it was quite interesting. 2009, I had the opportunity to move over to China in Shanghai for 10 weeks. And what I experienced there was it would not make a difference how good you speak English. The difference you make by understanding the communication. If you understand, if you're speaking with another person, hey, when you are able to understand if the message what you try to transport to the other person is understood, then you start to make a difference. Anton asked something, let me read that through. What means do you use to define minimal valuable product which can make profit for the customer? The minimal valuable product, yes, this is understood, and at Continental, it's not so important to have this minimal valuable product for a brake caliper, because this function is, in this case, well known to all our participants, to the customer, and so on. What you're speaking about is to introduce something completely new. If you're developing a software and you're exploring if it could make sense to the market, then you're not starting to develop the software, you start to think about what are our main benefits out of this software for our customer. And the best you can do in this stage is start selling that. Have a pre-sale on your software. I take exactly that as an example. Take your software, pre-sell that, so you have the proof from the market that they could imagine that makes sense. So you make something visible, right? You take your software, just this an interface to the customer, and sell exactly that. Sell the function, the solution.
Yeah, Philip, I would say you have already said great insights. I would say let's speak 5 more minutes to come to an end. And if somebody wants to or have another question, just say it now. If not, Philip, please conclude.
2 points.
2 points.
2 points to conclude that. So what you have to do and have to understand as a student, what you need beside your university is find opportunities to find possibilities to bring the theory you're learning to practice. You can do it by your own, by developing some ideas for some software and introduce that to the App Store from Google, for example. The better if you can imagine to work for a bigger company in industry, start to build up the relationship to this company and try to figure out what could make sense for you as an engineer, as a software engineer, working for them. Explore which stage of this development process and could make sense for you. And the second thing, ensure that it doesn't matter what you're doing as an engineer, what you plan to do, that you ensure that you have fun as an engineer. That is one message what I transfer on my YouTube channel. You might wondering what is that background here, and one engineering success story. That is an engineer who simply have fun doing his work. So I'm ready for your questions. Stephan, do you have a question?
No, I don't have.
Perfect.
For the questions. Yes, I have a question to the audience. If you like it, and if you, I mean, your dean has my mail address. Also, I think you have my Telegram channel. Please write to me what was good, what was bad. Next week, we will focus more on project management and agile development, what is very interesting for future software engineers or project managers in IT. So give me some hints what can be better. I think it's a good format to invite an industry expert and to be open to your questions. So Philipp, if I get some feedback on Telegram, I will share with you. Thank you again to share your insights, and see you soon in Germany.
Yeah, thank you, Stephan. Thank you, Philipp. It was a great pleasure for us to have your lecture. So we will publish the record of your lecture on our YouTube channel, okay? And we will share our feedback, as Stephan has mentioned.
Perfect. Dimitri, if you have a question, whatever you would like to know, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a nice evening ahead.
Philipp is also an advisor for young engineers and managers who want to become real professional, and this is his hobby. So Philipp was very happy to join here. So if you have some questions, also how to write a CV, how to make an how to say the first call, first steps to become a young professional in an international company, I will forward you Philipp's contact details. So maybe it's all about building up relationships to the companies what you might be interested in. Figure out the relationship and start to build up your network. Think about the opportunities you have, like this one. You can connect with me on LinkedIn as an example. And what I can say you, if the technology, the automobile industry might be interesting for you, just start to explore exactly this industry and find companies what may be interesting for you and the technology inside. Yeah? The driverless driving, as an example, is a really big mega trend. The automobile industry is requiring a lot of software engineers. So if this is interesting for you, just get in contact with me and enjoy your time.
Yeah, thank you, Philipp. So,
yeah.
See you next week, right?
See you next week. I also shared now the name of Philipp's company, so you can check for whom he is working for.
Thank you.
Okay, see you guys. Bye-bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Marina, that's a good question. Just get in touch with me. You find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I can forward you, Marina. Good.
Perfect.
I have to stop the recordings.